Only 4% of Black people benefit from DEI? I don't know about that. Let's go a little bit deeper in the stats tonight to talk about the real impact of DEI and why you should care if you are Black specifically, but members of any other groups that would benefit from this program. But I'm specifically talking to Black folks here because there is a stat that's been going around like wildfire to make you believe. Hey there, Stacey. Thank you. That, oh, well, this isn't such a big deal. Only 4% of Black people benefit from DEI. So why should we even worry? Let me break that down for you guys, okay? Come on in. How you doing, everybody? First of all, happy Black History Month. Hey, happy Black History Month. We are still celebrating, and I'm not one that's much into award shows, but I was very happy that there seemed to have been a black Grammys last night. So shout out to Kendrick Lamar, to Doechii, and of course to Queen Bee. Okay, so excited about those wins for them. But tonight I came on here super quickly just to talk about this myth. It's not really a myth, but it's a misinterpretation of the data that's been going around here and catching fire. And the reason why I want to speak to this is because I think it's very dangerous. Here's what I want you to understand very clearly. The enemy wins when they make you believe that their attacks against you are actually not going to hurt you. And then by the time you figure out that it hurts you, it's too damn late. Let me say that again. For those of you in the cheap seats that keep spreading data that is not fully contextualized, the enemy wins when they make you believe that what they are doing, which is meant to hurt you, ain't gonna hurt you. So you don't fight back. And it's not until you realize that you've been hurt that all of a sudden you say, oh, what happened? But by then it's too late. So I feel like that's a little bit about what's going on right now with this data point that's being repeated infinitum. You may have heard it. And in fact, Black enterprise, you need to employ better fact checkers, okay? Because they even had the headline, y'all, that said only 4% of people in DEI positions are Black. Live from the pit of hell. Because if you were to read that article, you see they actually link to the actual data, which is not in line with what the headline says. Okay, let me be clear to you what the 4% is about, what the 4% is, what the 4% isn't, and why you should give a damn. And then I'm going to go beyond that because my focus on DEI, quite frankly, is beyond those people who are employed within its rubric, but it's also about, and my specific focus is on entrepreneurship and how the loss of DEI or the chipping away at DEI will have trickle-down effects that are negatively impact Black businesses, but will also negatively impact Black people who are employed both in the public and private sector. Okay, so let me rewind and tell you how this data is being misinterpreted. What the headlines are saying and what people keep repeating and is this. Only 4% of people who have positions in DEI are Black, that the overwhelming majority are white, and therefore, and specifically white women, and therefore the implication is we shouldn't care that they're going after DEI. Well, let me tell you what that 4% actually refers to, okay? That data is specifically related to chief diversity officers. Somebody put in the comments for me, chief diversity officers. That is not all people who work within DEI, y'all. Chief diversity officers is a C-suite position, much like chief operating officer, much like chief executive officer, much like chief financial officers. Those are C-suite positions. No company is made up of only C-suite positions. First of all, hey there, Karan. Whew, God, I feel like, what's the for the guy dude from Family Guy? It really grinds my gears. Like every time I hear somebody misinterpret that statistic, it just pisses me the hell off. Because you are not doing Black people a favor by relaying and amplifying misinformation and decontextualized data that is implying something that is not the actual case. That 4% refers to and only to chief diversity officers. Now, let me get you clear about one thing. Unfortunately, and this ain't right, I'm not saying that I agree with this, but we all know that it is the case that C-suite positions are overwhelmingly white. Whew. I know, clutch your pearls. You're completely surprised to hear that information. I'm being facetious. But C-suite positions, we know, have always been very, very, very difficult for Black people to get a foothold in. So it's not surprising to me that only 4% of Black people are chief diversity officers, especially since last I checked, only about 1% or less of Black people are chief executive officers. I mean, we are rarely found in the C-suites. So please stop believing this data point that only 4% of the people that benefit from DEI are Black people. It is a gross misinterpretation of the data. And in fact, I kind of believe that it is intentional that that's been put out here and been amplified so that Black people can be disarmed, so that they can think that this attack against DEI isn't a big deal, so that they can believe that they can just go back to sleep and rest and forget about it because it's not really hurting them, it's hurting white women. Well, let me just say, it is going to hurt other people, but let me just also say it is going to disproportionately hurt us. Because newsflash, we work in a hell of a lot of positions that are not C-suite positions. I know that's shocking for you to hear, but it's the fact. It is facts. And the ripping away of the impacts and the reach and what DEI does with regards to opening up the realm of people who are considered for every position, not just diversity positions, not just positions in DEI specialties in terms of specific areas of focus in a company. It is because of the work of the people in the DEI field that all sorts of positions that have absolutely nothing to do with DEI have broadened their scopes to include people who were previously excluded, including Black people. So please don't think that DEI positions only is the only way in which Black people would be impacted by the loss of DEI. You don't have to be working in DEI to be impacted by the loss of it. Oh my God, please, Jesus Christ. I'm just so annoyed that, and here's one of the things I'm going to say, be careful right now. Because what had happened was, and what is happening right now is that you have a very few billionaires who are in cahoots with Trump, who have great control over information. Think about it. Musk and the dorky kid that owns Meta, Zuckerberg, okay, which I have to believe, as an aside, I have to believe that the reason why Zuckerberg was on Joe Rogan's show talking that ridiculousness about how, there's not enough masculinity in the workforce, is because this is probably the only time in his life where he's felt like he was one of the cool kids. He isn't, but at least he probably feels like he's closer to it than he's ever been now that he's gotten connected with and adjacent to and has been sort of absorbed into the Trump cult. But that said, there are some rumors that it looks like I'm not really a TikTok user, but for those people who are, they have been saying that it looks like the level of the content over there, the level of reach of certain types of information is not quite what it used to be. There's definitely people on Instagram that are saying that more progressive information isn't getting this type of reach that it used to. I'm saying all this to say that the information that you are receiving now, you have to understand is even more likely to be influenced by people who do not have your interest at heart. Are you hearing me? And so there's a reason why, if you ask me, I mean, call me paranoid, but just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that people aren't trying to get you. Okay. I think that's the same. Here's what I'm saying. I believe that there's a reason why that statistic keeps popping up amongst Black folk. It's trying to disarm you. It's trying to make you think that, oh, everything's okay. So what, we lose DEI? So what? So what, he rips away an executive order that prohibits discrimination in the workplace that's been in place for the past 60 years. So what? Because only 4% of Black people benefited. Lie from the pit of hell. That's what they want you to believe so that you don't fight back. Please know this to be the case. Please know this to be the case. Once again, in case you came in late, that 4% figure only refers to chief diversity officers, which is a C-suite position, in which all C-suite positions are overwhelmingly white, in which we've always known when there have been advancements in terms of affirmative action and all the other things, it's always white women that benefits the most. That goes to the reality of racism in this country. And adjacency to whiteness will always get you an advantage. I don't care if you are intersected with other types of oppressed groups. So that's a reality. But do not think that there are not a significant amount of Black people who would not have the opportunities that we've had thus far, if not for affirmative action, DEI programs, those sorts of initiatives that required an expansion of opportunities to people who are routinely shut out before because of the persistence of systemic racism in this country, in hiring and in acquisition of contracts and business opportunities and everything else. And so when there is an effort to rip that away, and I hear people sort of saying, well, it doesn't matter because it only benefited 4% of us, there's a reason why they want you to think that. Come on now. I'll give you another stat. As I told you all, I focus on this issue a lot, mainly from the standpoint of how Black business will be impacted, because I'm very concerned that the ripping away of DEI really represents a very, very well orchestrated symphony of activities that have taken place over the past several decades, specifically to undermine the civil rights advancements that we fought so hard for and ultimately won as a result of the civil rights movement. Ever since those different sort of laws and executive orders were put in place, ever since policy was put in place to break the back of just overwhelming levels of systemic discrimination, there have also been counter forces that have been at work trying to roll those advancements back. And so it kind of bothers me, it concerns me when this is all happening right in front of our faces. And so many of us are sitting here acting like, oh, it only benefited 4% of us. That's what they want you to think. Come on now, use your damn common sense. A lot of the opportunities that we have now they are there only because his people were forced to expand their scope. It's not because we didn't have the ability. It's not because it was never because. Do you think that before the 1964 Civil Rights Act, that there were, there never existed any smart, qualified, hardworking Black people at all? And they just all of a sudden appeared after those policy actions were put into place? No, they were always there. We were always there. The issue was that we were an extended opportunity, and it took decades of fights and change in legislation and practices in order to be able to expand those opportunities. Now, as it relates to businesses, I'll give you another statistic that relates to DEI. Okay. I know one of the statistics that is even worse than the 4% statistic is that only about 1.6% of federal contracts goes to Black businesses. That is horrible. It needs to be much more than that. Federal contracting is a huge source of revenue for businesses all over this country, all different types of businesses. And yes, we need to get a bigger piece of that pie. But this is another thing with data. You need to look at data, not just in terms of examining one data point. What's important when analyzing data is analyzing trends. Can somebody put trends in the comments for me? Trends. And what I mean by analyzing trends is it's important to see where we are now, but it's also even more important to see where we were yesterday. It's even more important to see where we were 5 years ago. It's even more important to see where we were 10 years ago. It's even more important to see where we were 20 years ago. You see where I'm going? Because we need to see what the trend is. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? So what I did the other day, I took a look at the data to figure out where the trend is and what we might expect us to go back to if we were to change those protections that we have right now that at least creates a space where our businesses can get a chance to get contracts. And interestingly, what I found was, obviously when I went back to 1965, there was no data on there because that's exactly why you needed the 1965 Civil Rights Act, okay? I mean, they had everything locked down. They weren't giving us opportunity. And so I was like, okay, let me move up a little bit. Let me move up to 1970, 5 years of them to implement, 5 years for them to actually do what they got to do. This is 5 years after the executive order that Trump just nullified, right? That required corporations to expand their scope in terms of who they would consider and to end discrimination in their hiring and contracting processes. And so what I found was in 1970, 5 years after that, do you know what percentage of Black businesses got federal contracts? 0.1%. 0.1%. So the 1.6% today is horrible. I mean, damn, 60 years later, it's only 1.6%, but that's over 10x of where it was before those shifts. Yes, we need more, but imagine if the rules that were put into place that led to the changes that allowed for a 10x plus increase in the representation of Black businesses receiving federal contracts. What happens when that infrastructure is ripped away? Well, I guess we're about to find out. So I came on here to rant a little bit tonight because I want you to be skeptical of data. I want you to ask questions about data. I want you to look at the source of data, especially if it's about headlines that has a data point in it, but you have no idea what the context of that data is, what the source. It's very interesting because that Black Enterprise headline is interesting. The Black Enterprise headline specifically says and inaccurately states only 4% of DEI hires are Black people. Then you go into that very same Black Enterprise article and you click on the link in which they are citing that they got that data from, and you see The fact sheet that they're pulling it from is specifically talking about data around chief diversity officers. Nowhere in that article did they say anything about chief diversity officers. They contextualized the whole thing as if it was all Black people who had DEI positions. So I am begging you, don't just believe a data point because you see it. Don't just believe it because somebody says it. Think about, maybe I need to do a little deeper investigation to find out what this is referring to. And then secondly, maybe I need to look for trends so I can figure out what is the impact of this thing that was just taken away. I say all that to say, you guys, we are nowhere near where we should be. We know we are not anywhere where we should be in terms of the complete elimination of systemic discrimination in America. It still exists. But to the extent that we've seen progress, it's not because people all of a sudden had some great epiphany of morality in this nation. It's not because of that. You think people just woke up one morning and said, okay, we're going to start acting kind of right? No. It happened because there were policies that were put in place that required new changes, that required new processes. And this is why I've been like yelling and screaming ever since this fool has been in office, because that's exactly what he's trying to rip away, those requirements. Do you really expect that everybody gonna act right once you stop requiring that they do? Now, here is what I will say. I came on here also to let you know, as I've been sort of ranting about this now for about, for maybe basically ever since he did that, which started down this path, which was his first day in office. So that tells you where his priorities were. They were not on bringing down the price of eggs. All right. I have done something about it. For me, getting free at this moment and in maximizing your chance at success at this moment, particularly if you are a Black business, it requires 4 things. It's going to require you to, number one, really be able to be more flexible in this moment with regards to what you do. It's going to require innovation. It's going to require new, maybe an expansion of what you offer. We already know that if at all you were in that DEI space specifically, in terms of federal contracts, that's gone. Okay. And in terms of private sector contracts, it's been compromised. There's some that you can get. They're still there. It's not completely gone in the same way that it's gone in the federal space, but it has been compromised. Okay. It's not as many there as there were this same time last year, or even this same time. Yeah, this same time last year, not even this same time, last month. Okay. But I will say this, there are still other opportunities that exist in all of those spaces. It just may mean that you might need to pivot a little bit. It may mean that you might need to expand what you do a tad, whether or not you're in the DEI space. Now is a moment for innovation. Now is a time for you to grow your capacity for what you do and the capacity of what you do in your business so that you can expand the number of opportunities that you can get business within. Does that make sense? That's number one. Number two, you need to up-level your visibility, okay? Because there are fewer opportunities, there are going to be more competition for the remaining opportunities. That means that you cannot afford to be drowned out by the crowd. You've got to stand out. You've got to be seen. You've got to be heard. So whatever you're doing with your marketing right now, you need to double down on it, triple up on it, 10x it. Okay. You really need to be seen in this moment. Now is not the time to hide. Number three, you need to up-level your authority. You need to be not only seen, but be seen as a leader in your space. When I had my training last week, I talked about the Deion Sanders of it all. Like, everybody knows that Deion Sanders can write his own ticket. If tomorrow he decided he wanted to leave Colorado, he could go anywhere he wants to, including the NFL, because he's that damn good. He's a standout in his field. You need to be seen and perceived as a standout in your space too. And that's about really being intentional about creating, you know, injecting a large level of authority in your brand, thought leadership, being seen as not just another player in your space, but among the best. And then finally, you need to, we need to really band together, grow our networks, support one another, collective economics, buying from one another, but also expanding our network so that we can help one another be able to get access to opportunities that we may not have access to alone. So that means, you know, coming together and nurturing good relationships that could lead to partnerships and collaboration and cooperation, so that we can all win in this moment. Because I believe those are the four key things that are needed right now, I created a space that would be a conduit to helping you get each and every one of those things in place in your business at this moment. And I'm super excited about it because, you know, it's something I've never done before. You know, this normally when people work with me around issues of business, it is a significant investment. I am a, you know, high ticket coach. I don't even hide about that fact. I've never made that a secret. Normally it's about a minimum of about a $2,500 monthly investment to work with me. Okay. But I'm super excited that I have opened up an opportunity to work with me as part of this membership for only about $3 a day. We're talking $97 a month. I've never done that before. And that's because this is a moment in which it's an extraordinary threat on our well-being as a people. And so I feel like I need to open this up to the masses so that you can get the information that you need to be able to do those things that I just mentioned, right? Really get some guidance around evolving your business to that next level, thinking about what else you can do next, really thinking, expanding your scope of possibility and increasing your range of what you offer to the world so that you can increase your visibility and your authority, and ultimately so that you can create or operate within a collective economy. Like what I love about this new space, it's called the Revolutionary Vanguard. So one of the key things that we're creating there is a little container that is all about collective economics. Everyone in there is going to have the ability to know what everybody else does. And if you as a business owner, if you need a certain skill, if you need someone to, if you're looking to hire someone to do something in your business, we're going to look in there first. So who knows, your next client might be in the Revolutionary Vanguard. If you are someone who know of a great opportunity and they are looking for people that have capability A, B, C, and D, and you only have capabilities A and B, well, guess what? Within the Vanguard, you can find out, okay, well, who here has capability C and D? And we can partner together and go after this opportunity as a partnership or in collaboration with one another and be better positioned to actually win. That happens in the Vanguard. It's also a space where you can get access to the support and the training that you need in order to know what to do to be thought of as that thought leader in your space. How do you go out there and be seen? How do you go out there and get media attention? How do you go out there and make substantive, have a substantive and powerful presence on social media? We go through all that in the Vanguard. Now, I do want you to know I have extended the door, like the window of opportunity to become a part of this Vanguard until Sunday at midnight, because we actually kick off in our brand new space, private space, which will be off of Facebook, which will be off of these spaces, right? A private community, virtual community that you can be part of. And we go there on next Monday, so a week from today. All right. So I'm going to invite you to take a look. You can go to the revolutionaryvanguard.com. take a look there. And if you want to join us, go ahead and grab your spot. We are actually, for those people who've already joined, we're actually started today in terms of doing some prerequisite work that's leading us up until Monday when everybody is migrated over to the new space. Okay. So some of the prerequisite work that we're doing, we are supporting each other's posts, for example, on social media so that it gets further reach. We are, they're going through a day by day little mini trainings that I'm providing them, sending out to them via email every day so that they can get some instruction on things that they need to do in order to start to think more broadly about their capabilities and about how they can develop a key asset that they can use in their business to really position them as a leader in their space. Like these are things that we are doing now. Why is that? Because I understand the moment that we're in. And I feel like, I'm trying to raise the alarm and I don't want you to minimize it because you're hearing these statistics that are not properly presented. I don't want you to realize too late that what's happening right now can negatively impact you. I want you to realize right now that this is a threat to us. So we need to be prepared to fight back. And for me, that preparation is about supporting one another in a mutually supportive space that ultimately gives you instant access to a mutually supportive, monetizable network where we all are working together to literally lift as we climb. With that said, I want you guys to click the link if you want more information, or if you just want to talk with me about it and you want more information, put in the chat revolution and I will give you more info, or just inbox me. I had someone the other day that said, I don't want to put revolution in the chat because I don't know about how people will see that. And I understand it. Right now is unfortunately, it's a very dangerous time. It is a dangerous time. So I can understand. In fact, let me take that back. You can put rise, okay? If you don't want the word revolution beside your name, which I can understand, okay? Put rise there and I'll give you more info. Or you can go directly to therevolutionaryvanguard.com, check it out and join us. We kick off on Monday in earnest, even though we've already started today, okay? But I look forward to welcoming you inside. You already will come into a network of dozens of Vanguard members, all dedicated to helping us all succeed. All right there. So with that said, you guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day and rest of the evening. I hope, of course, you have an amazing Black History Month. And I hope you make this the blackest Black History Month ever. And I hope that I get a chance to work with you in an even more intimate and powerful level as part of the Revolutionary Vanguard. I think there's some revolutionaries on here, okay? And I know that together we can all win. All right. With that said, I hope y'all have a wonderful evening. Absolutely. You're right about that, Brian. And by the way, I do want to say you are welcome. Thanks, Brian. We have people in the Vanguard that are not only, interestingly, even though this threat is right here, it's interesting because there are people in the Vanguard from all over the world. We have people in the Vanguard that are right now in Saudi Arabia, in Ghana, in the UK, and obviously all over the United States. So know that this is a space that is powerful and representative of a lot of us from all over. And just imagine what it would be like to be in a network with people that look like you, entrepreneurs who are out here doing the damn thing, Black entrepreneurs out here doing the damn thing from all over the world. That's what we're creating. Okay. With that, I look forward to welcoming you there, and I will see you guys later. Have a good evening, everybody. Good night. Take care. Bye.